Hello, and welcome to the very first podcast of Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh. I am your host, of course, Shiana, and I am really excited to bring you this. I've been talking about doing a podcast for so long. I wanted to perfect it and have all of this, editing and all of this background stuff in place for this process. And to be honest with you, I just thought, fuck it, that is not really me. I like being super authentic and real, and I like to do things a little unorthodox anyway. So, these chats that I'm going to bring you, these topics of conversations, are going to be exactly that: unfiltered, raw, natural connections, conversations. I have a lot of juicy stuff coming for you with this. I have amazing peers and friends all around me that are deeply devoted to liberation. And that is what I am all about in all layers and aspects. So I will be bringing you lots of topics around this. For my very first podcast, I was going to dive into pleasure as medicine, but that will be coming soon. I really wanted to speak on something that I'm seeing collectively happen in the world around us as we speak. And I'm just ready to dive right in. So, if you've been with me on socials for a while, you will know I really wanted to show up on unapologetically and completely unfiltered. So, let's get raw and real on the good girl on fire. Now, the reason I am bringing you this today, and it is so deeply passionate and alight within my bones at the moment, is because I see this collective burning down of this good girl conditioning. And it's about fucking time, I reckon. There is this huge sort of resurgence I'm seeing of like the true feminine, right? And I talk about feminine, masculine energetics quite a bit, but for this specifically, I am speaking about the women on fire for their passion and purpose, the women on fire that are sick of being conditioned and sold lies and this big rouge, right? So we are seeing the veil like drop down as we speak. We are seeing the absolute manipulative tactics that we have been sold again and again and again. We have been sold this bullshit story from all sides and aspects, from the feminine aspect, people really remarketing and selling to us what it is to be feminine, what it is to be in our feminine nature and our feminine core. And I see this again and again in the polarity world and what it is to spark that chemistry and that fire and that polarity. And so much of the time, it is solely based on us as women. Like all of the emotional, mental, physical labor is put on us. And we are sold this bullshit story that we have to be a certain way to obtain a man or just change this about you to create this. But all of this is crumbling down because we are starting to see the truth. And while I believe deeply on a somatic body-based level, we can absolutely go in and rewire our family dynamic patterning from childhood and really delve into how we relate to another human being and how we relate to the internal pieces within us, like that inner child aspect and that maiden aspect. And whilst this is true and absolutely doable, that is not always the truth. The truth is there is bad people and there is bad shit in the world. Blinding ourselves to that fact and going about living this light and fluffy fairy tale has gotten to us to a point where we are collapsing, where we are actually putting our needs, wants, and desires on the back burner for men, for society, for people, out of fear of judgment, out of fear of being persecuted, And this is why I say the woman on fire, because that's all coming down now. We have woken up to this and have started to realize hang on, I've done all of this stuff. I've done all this embodiment work. I've done all of this feminine work. I've done all of this somatic healing and this therapy work and all of this. You know, women have been on the forefront of working on themselves and traversing their inner landscapes for years. Centuries. It's always on us. And the truth is, we are actually enabling the poor behaviors and the poor mistreatment that we are seeing in our world. What I truly believe is we need to start making people uncomfortable. And that is not purposely going out of our way to hurt and cause pain and make people uncomfortable. It truly means coming back into our bodies, into our hearts, and being ourselves fully expressed. Being ourselves and embodying our true selves, our gifts, our magic, our medicine, who we are at our core, without all that external shit, and letting it fall where it may, right? I think women need, more boundaries and higher values. And within that, and not as a place to cut ourselves off and keep ourselves in a box and have hardened walls and protection, but actually in a way of embodying that what which is us and then allowing others to rise up to meet that, right? Because all of this bending over, all of this stuff that we've been doing to try and obtain that guy or, try and obtain a thing or manifest a certain aspect, it's completely hinders like who we are at our nature. And we're waking up. Women are angry and rightly should be at this point in time, right? Everything is always centering another person, another thing, another goal. And we are completely disconnected from our own bodies, our own felt sense, our own power and somatic remembrance from deep within. And it's supposed to be that way, right? Like in society, we see that marketed to us because I truly believe that a woman in her power, a woman in her passion and purpose and desire is a woman that sets the whole world on fire. And I really mean that. I work with hundreds of women, and this is the biggest unwinding that they come to at the end of their time, right? It's like they come to me, they do all this deep work, like working on their childhood traumas, the way they show up with men and how they relate to men. And I'm just going to slide a little side note in here of how much I love men and how much I am very like, love masculinity, love men. And this is not what this whole topic of conversation is about, right? I'm not talking about tearing them down. I'm talking about standing in the truth and the truth of what is and allowing that to dissolve and disintegrate that around you, which is not in alignment for you. Because these women come and they do all this deep work and they unwind and they unravel and they come to the end of their journey or a finalization or an aha moment at the end of the journey, like a light bulb moment of holy fucking shit. It's not true. This is not true. I've been working on my all sorts of things like being a people pleaser, being a good girl, like doing all of this stuff to try and obtain this thing that is I can never hold on to and obtain because it isn't based in truth. It isn't reality. Like the truth and reality is, this person's no good for me. This is not what I want. This is not what I truly desire. This is not in alignment with my body or my heart or my pussy, right? And that is when the huge evolution and growth comes from in that moment of seeing fully, eyes wide open, the truth of what is, right? Because women love to fall in love with potential, right? It's the thing that we see. We see the potential in humanity, in the world of what could be in a person, in a man, right? And I truly believe that this is because we are deeply feeling beings and we traverse the landscape of the unseen naturally. That's what we do. And we are natural multipliers. We can see things that people usually cannot see. And we want to take that and multiply it and make it greater than, make it better, make it more beautiful, radiant, alive. That's what we do. And that's a beautiful gift. But I see so many times how we fall into this trap of taking what we can see in our mind's eye, in our body, in our felt energetic senses, and make that truth and reality. But it is not so. It is not so. It's not truth. It is not reality. It's not real. It's an illusion, right? And again, there is nuance here because I do believe in sort of manifestation and energetic reciprocation and this sort of stuff. But there is an element where we're collapsing in the potential, like this not quite earthy presence of what is. And, I really feel that when women come to that understanding and that journey, and they come to that remembrance deep within their body, they turn around and they feel blindsided. Like, what have I been doing? What have I been sold? Because we basically take on what others say, how we should be. We bend and scrape. And underneath all of this energetic noise is truly just a wounded inner child, right? Like this wounded maiden aspect that deeply wants to be loved, cherished, held, honored, respected, and absolutely ravished, right? So we believe that compartmentalizing ourselves or shutting off pieces of ourselves or, really giving ourselves over to this like good girl energetic or this people pleaser energetic is going to get us and this what we so desire or obtain that love or obtain that great thing that we're chasing, right? And then the walls come crashing down and we see that no. And we see that it is time to burn down these narratives and stories and conditionings that make us believe that we have to keep ourselves small. And I believe that when that comes and these powerfully, beautifully, like conscious embodied boundaries that we set in place and values and um, limitations on our energy. So people stop using our energy and siphoning it for their own tactics and manipulative actions. That's when we sever that completely. Right. And when we start severing that completely and coming back into the body and owning and reclaiming all our power and our energy and say, no, enough is enough. That is when we start to see everything flip around us. That is what I believe the world is calling for right now. Like, we don't need more women doing therapy work and emotional labor. We need more women understanding and remembering who the fuck they are and having embodied boundaries and values and really allowing the truth of who they are in their totality to actually burn everything else around them that is not in alignment anymore and allow, truly fantastic people into their lives that are willing to rise, that are willing to grow, that are willing to step into the fire of uncomfort, right? Because all of this, all we are doing is making people comfortable and enabling what they are doing, how they are treating us, and not just us, but our other sisters, our other women, our daughters, right? Like we are enabling that. And so the cycle continues. So the cycle of abuse continues. So the cycle of gaslight, manipulation, And I am done with it, right? I am done with playing into the soft feminine energetics, the light and fluffy submissive archetypes. I am done playing into how I am supposed to be to obtain anything around me. That is not how it works. That is not how our energy works. It's like I'm going to get out of my own way, decondition all of these narratives and stories, and heal my inner maiden that is still playing on this and coming back to my own inherent worthiness, my own inherent, like, confidence and deservingness to obtain that which I truly do as a woman. And I am ready to see that in the females and women collective and feminine collective around me right now, right? So long we have actually done this, and I feel like enough is enough. I feel like this is creating these very contracting energetics on how we relate to people and to things around us. And I really feel this like crumbling down around us because I don't feel that women submitting to everyone and everything is it. Submission is an act, and it is an act that is only worthy when we decide it to be worthy, right? Like I will not bend over and scrape and do that for every person in my life, and I don't think everyone should. I don't think every woman should. And this shit that we're being fed by these communities that are allowing us to stay passive has to go. We are not passive creatures. Humans are not passive creatures. We are way more than that. And we have a right to allow what is meant to be in congruence with who we are at our very fucking core, light, dark, textures, woundings, power, all of that. Like that is okay. That we are not inherently broken, and I think that that is a narrative that we get told to ourselves over and over and over again through what we take on through our family dynamics and our childhood developmental years, but also through marketing and society. It is all a rouge to keep us feeling like we are inherently powerless, that we are inherently broken, and because of this, we play into that wounded maiden archetype and aspect and energetic. And it leaves this gaping hole within us where we will just take anything, anybody, and anything that comes our way because we're so fucking hungry and we want to fill that void and that hole. And I say, enough. We don't have this gaping hole within us. It is a lie and it is distortion, and it largely strings at these core woundings within us. And yes, we need to do work on these core wounds and this gaping hole and tend to it and feed it and fill it up from within, external, like without the external. But then there comes a time where we then sever those energetic cords and ties to these people and these things that we think are going to feed this like hungry hole and say, no, that time is done. And when I start seeing women step into this sort of energetic of their true, like fierce, powerful nature, that is when I'm going to see the world start to change. That is where when we're going to stop enabling these bad behaviors and these bad energetics and people and things into our field and take them on and use them. Like it's really dusty, dirty, energetic behavior. And I'm not saying this, from a place of somebody who has completely mastered this at all. Like I am in the fire as well. I am in this whole transmutation, alchemical process as we speak of really understanding, holy shit, like this is breaking down around me and disintegrating within me right now. I don't have to play small. I don't have to, you know, play into your little boy energetics. I don't have to play into these wounded archetypes and these wounded relationships. Like boundaries and values and this like inner strength. Like I don't have to protect my sacredness anymore. I am it. I am walking, living, breathing embodiment of that which is sacred. And I don't have to hide it away and protect it anymore. Like this is it. I don't care if it makes you uncomfortable. I don't care if it makes me, you know, seem like a villain. And that's a huge thing. Like women really love to be liked. And, you know, being liked by everybody I've seen on this post is not um an erotic energy. Like you will repulse people and being okay with that, letting it fall where it may. Stop centering everyone and everything around you and come back to refocus and center on self, right? And not in this like arrogant, selfish way, but in this purely like devotional, loving way. Because when you start centering yourself and when you start coming home to the truth of your being wholeheartedly, and you pour from a full wellspring within you as a woman. You become magnetic, you become radiant, you become all of these delicious flavors that people say do a certain thing, so you obtain this energetic. It's like, no, just be authentic, just be real, just be organic and natural to what is true within you and everything else around you will dissolve. You don't have to dress a certain way. You don't have to be a certain way. Oh my God. And when you come to that energetic of like pouring from the wellspring within, feeding yourself, satiating you from within, that is when the whole world shifts and changes around you, right? Like that is when people, the caliber of people that you allow and entertain changes. That is when this so-called masculine man is either going to rise up and be a king or be a clown king, right? And I love this. I actually seen it on Gillian Pothier's post the other day, and it is so true. Like we are either playing into the clown king energetic and closing our eyes and feeding into illusion energetics, or we are seeing the truth. And the truth is like your feminine truth. Like, what is it? Like, that is not what it is, right? And allowing that the fires of transmutation allow those people and those things around you to either walk through it and meet you or walk the fuck away and letting that then be okay. Letting them perceive you how they may. Letting people see you as a villain, as a bitch, as a whatever. Like letting it go because I'm so tired of seeing women in my spaces and women around me contorting themselves to be this so-called like perfect woman or perfect feminine or be this perfect mix of like slut and innocent. Or there's so many polarizing things that we should be all at once. And we are all of those all at once, you know, and allowing ourselves to taste the textures in that and it being okay because no one is going to think it's okay unless you wholeheartedly accept and think it's okay within you first and foremost. So, yes, I am here for this next step of liberating the feminine. I am here for the burning down of the good girl conditioning and the good girl on fire and the sort of anger and rage, the sacred anger and rage that is coming and screaming from the deep feminine right now of like, oh my God, I've been sold all of this bullshit and it's all a lie. And I'm done. I'm severing. I'm raising the bar. I'm raising my boundaries, not harsh and closing off. I'm still going to remain soft and open and receptive, but I'm going to be fucking discerning about it. Who has access to me? Who is around me to actually drink in the power and the deliciousness of my feminine essence and expression, right? Because for far too long, we've allowed it to be siphoned, used, manipulated, contorted, and sold back to us as something completely inorganic to us. And that is what I'm seeing currently. And so I really wanted to delve into this. Wholly, one take, no edits. I'm going to bring it to you raw, unfiltered. But I would love to hear how you are feeling this alchemical process going on within your body and being at this point in time, somatically, energetically, right? There is a collective of us right now who are turning towards us and each other as women, right? We're turning towards this like collaboration instead of competition. We're turning towards this beautiful way of living and being there with each other and like journeying with each other. And I'm so down for it. I am so down for it. And I'm really seeing all of these fake structures that we've put in place of rules and regulations and black and white just dissolving around us and within us. You know, even if you are religious, like you are most possibly going through a crisis at the moment, as we all are, let's be real, of what you should and shouldn't be, what makes you a good or bad, Christian, what makes you a good or a bad woman, what makes you a good or a bad sexual partner. It's all interlinked and interconnected, right? It doesn't just burn through one element within our collective field. It actually burns through multiple layers of dissolution all at once. And we're seeing it, we're feeling it, and we're angry and we're tired and we are fucking done. That whole expression of let them truly, I believe, is so passive. And I'm not saying like we come around and we have to like seek revenge. I'm not coming from, I really hope you can understand the nuances I'm getting at here. It's not about us personally, like going out and attacking and seeking revenge or anything like this. It's just, we will not passively sit by and let people treat us certain ways anymore. We will not passively sit by and allow people to tell us how we should and shouldn't be anymore. We're finding our collective voice. We're finding the power within our collective, like pussy, right? Like pussy and throat, interconnected, intertwined. When we start speaking up and speaking out, and it's a vibrational activation within us all. So, no, we won't just let them walk all over us anymore. No, we won't just let them manipulate and lie and gaslight and cheat and do all of these things that are really not, you know, in congruence with where we're going as a collective. We're going somewhere completely different. And if we don't start stepping up and speaking into that, then we are no good as the so-called perpetrator, right? Like perpetrator, enabler, those energetics are so intertwined. Both are at fault. And it's like, we're going to stop being the enabler. Not saying we turn into the perpetrator at all. At all. This is not where I'm going. I'm saying is just about time that we do tend to these wounds within us, these deep-seated, like wounded archetypes and wounded energetics of the inner child and maiden that is so hungry and starving for attention and freedom and love. And we tend to that and then come from a place of total embodiment and wholeness and not play into those very wounds we're being tugged at through, right? Like this is where we come into our like full sovereignty, our liberation, our power as women, and then letting all of the outside noise, the shoulds, the coulds, the have tos fall away and be like, no, this is truth. This is heart-centered, empowered, embodied truth in my being. And then that is when we see this like beautiful rising. No more of good girl, people pleaser, putting everyone else's needs and desires above my own and allowing myself to crumble and energetically be depleted. We will see like a beautiful ocean of women that actually know their worth, their worthiness, their sacred essence, their power, their medicine. And then, and only then, will we see those around us truly rising with that. You know, so many times we get told, you know, the masculine folk goes first and men lead and all of these things. And so we keep ourselves a certain way. We keep ourselves shut down. We keep our mouths shut. And it's like, I'm ready to set fire to all of that. I'm here. I'm seeing it with the women around me at the moment, going through very similar experiences and going, no, I'm going to call this out. I'm going to speak into the truth of what is. And then I'm going to let that truth be a way to not only set myself free, but them free, us free. Woo! I am here for it. I am ready. I am, you know, right in the flames, journeying alongside you as always, moving through this deep remembrance within about my boundaries and values and the power of, you know, just like returning to that. And I've tried. I've tried, trust me, to be in relationships where I know that they are not a good person, like essentially having very toxic traits that have I have gone, I'm a conscious person and I can be a certain way and I know communication techniques and I know about feminine masculine energetics and I can, you know, really like not to save or to heal or whatever, but it's like deeply I loved this person and I was in love and I wanted to be able to be okay in a space that wasn't actually truly in alignment for me and who I was at my core. And it nearly fucking broke me. You know, it doesn't matter how conscious you are, how loving you are, how compassionate and open-hearted, and how much the you lose a part of yourself. You lose a part of who you truly are by doing that. And then that is when the world dies. Like we need that magic. We need you. We need the essence of you in this world and the magic of you. We don't need more women shutting their mouths and bending over backwards to fit into spaces where they don't belong at all. Whew. I feel like that was a huge, fiery, passionate rant for me this morning. But yeah, it has been on my heart, on my mind, in my field with the women I've spoken to, with clients, with peers, going through this huge remembrance of their power and purpose and standing firm in their boundaries. And they're like, no, I don't need to do more healing work and all this, that, and the other. Like, I remember who the fuck I am. And I'm just going to step deeper into these like beautifully devotional like boundaries and values and know my worth and call out what is true without covering my eyes anymore. And that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing around me. That is what this whole podcast introduction has been today. I hope you can join me next time. Let me know what you think. Connect with me on socials at Sheeana Leigh, Instagram and Facebook. I'm more active on Insta, and I love deepening around these conversations. Reach out, review, like, share. Yeah, deepen into my DMs about what you're noticing within you at this moment. Through this like energetic alchemical process that we are all weaving and going through collectively. I can't wait to hear from you and connect with you. And I will see you next time on Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh. Mwah.